this way.
All right, everybody. Welcome again to another Tinker Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Greg Dowd, and tonight I am joined by returning guest Sam Swanson. Sam has we met at the Self Reliance Festival probably a couple of years ago now, and Sam is a musician and has his project Slave to Servant, and also does you do your own independent Sam Swanson thing as well, right?
Yeah, I make a living off of covers, just performing as a looping artist. And my sister recently joined me on piano, and so we're doing duo gigs now as Swan Sibs. So
The Swan Sibs, cool.
Swan Sibs,
Welcome back, man. Thanks
yeah,
for
thanks for
joining
having
me.
me, man.
Yeah,
It's good. I feel like we've it's been a minute. It's a good time to just kind of dip in and catch up and do some time traveling. So
yeah, it has. It's been a couple of years since the last time we talked and got to sit down and have a conversation. So yeah, you had a whole thing going on. You were kind of traveling around in a bus there for a little while, and you were uh, doing some of these conferences. I think you did like Refuge Ruckus is one of the things that I remember you talking about going to do that, and then
yeah,
also playing.
that was really cool because actually Bear and Bug Out Bob, like right before I went on stage to play with Slave the Servant, they baptized me like right before I went on. So that was like supercharged for the performance. It was great. Holy Spirit, boom.
That is yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, so yeah, that sounds like a really neat event with Bear Independent. There is that what state do they do that in?
That is in Arkansas, just over the border from Oklahoma. So, because I think their setup is just over the border in Oklahoma, but they did it in Fort Smith. So that's western Arkansas there on the border. Um, it was cool, man. Like, I don't know how much you know about what he does with all that stuff. I'm sure you know a fair amount, but for,
Yeah,
for
I
those,
follow him.
yeah, for those who don't know, um, I will say I believe the statistic that he gave me when we talked was that I believe it was like 90 or 95% of all um, human trafficking, child trafficking, charities, benefits, like all these kinds of outreaches, about 90 to 95% of it all just goes to awareness. And so what he does with Caleb House is actually has the intel and goes and rescues these kids and brings them supplies them with people who volunteer to be their family, put them in types of things like jiu-jitsu, give them somewhere to live, give them a time to be around good people and try to help them through their trauma and all the things that they've been through. And so that to me is just like the Lord's work, man. Like that's some GI Joe shit. So and
Yeah,
and
it, man, and when you start diving into the way the world really works, it's like this is such a huge problem. It
yeah,
is
well,
crazy.
and it's something that maybe people don't really realize. There's so many people. I've always had a very skeptical eye of things, and I can't help it. Like it's just my nature. But like even the idea of like cancer benefits and whatever, I'm like, where's that money going? Like, what are we doing with it? Like, what are you? Let's all relay for this, get a ribbon for that. Like, whatever. I don't know, man. There's just too many people taking money from people, and I don't think it's being used properly. And
I
that
would agree.
I'll run all the way from the government to charities to the church. I don't care. Like, let's go. I'll leave no stone untouched.
I agree with you, man. It's like you learn about some of these things, and it's in some of the alternative information, health information out there, especially where there's a lot of different ways, different modalities that you can heal from cancer and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn about that stuff, and you're like, well, why doesn't this get out more? And then you realize, like, oh, there's like a whole industry based on keeping people sick and doing all these cancer treatments so that they can make a ton of money off of you for basically poisoning your body and everything in the
Totally.
process.
Totally. And I mean, that's the thing. Like you can't even if you had something that really did cure, you found like every time somebody walked through your door and you had this cure, like you can't even advertise that. Like you'll be shut down immediately, like so I don't know, man. Yeah, it's a web, man. It's a web.
We, yeah, what a wild, crazy world we live in. But I think it's it's important to talk about solutions and things that are out there that you know can give people some hope. Be a light in the darkness for people. So I wanted to talk a lot because I really see the way that we can get more of information out is through the arts and stuff, man. Because like comedy, you make somebody laugh, it kind of like eases people up a little bit. Music, if you can get some messages out through music and stuff. So,
Yeah, that's because you can change someone's mind quicker with emotion than you can with logic. And God that's the way God created us. And we live in a society that's very stoic and not open to emotion, yet we're always being inundated with things that target our emotions. And that I think there's a reason. Like I use a lot of biblical references in the things that I do, but like that's why you read a passage about King Saul and calling David to play a harp for him to alleviate his. It says that it soothed King Saul. Like all these types of things do something to us, and emotions are part of the brain. Like we think that it's like this is the heart, that's not true. It's all part of the brain. And yeah, there's also no such thing as objective thinking. There is only subjective thinking about objective things. So um yeah, anyway, I think that is the medium for which all of the preparations for your mind being accepting to whatever is happening, whether it's through movies, shows, music, comedy. The arts are that. They are delivering a very I would almost say academic, you know level message all the time. It may not seem like it, but it's there it's
well, looking for solutions on things in my mind, my head is filled with engineering stuff because that's my background,
Mhm.
and looking for solutions to things, and coming to realize like a lot of the folks in the freedom community and the people that are seeking the truth, maybe a lot of times what we have to say is kind of dry. We get it a little across a little dry, but the people that I can connect with a lot are the people that are attempting to make it comedic, and you know the the art kind of stuff. Like I recently went to art and music, and I went to an event up in Portland, Tennessee, called the Third Eye Carnival, put on by some folks in the uh, that are truth seekers, AM Wake Up and Scott Armstrong. They put on this event called the Third Eye Carnival in Portland, Tennessee, and they had like music and comedians and stuff there. And it's like you could bring somebody that might not be familiar with some of this information there, and they can kind of like, it's like dipping their toe in the water a little bit. So where it's not like a full frontal assault of like everything's crazy, the
Yeah.
world is crazy, man. Like you look at all this stuff that's going on. It's kind of like, well, let's enjoy each other and get to connect with each other on a personal level, and then get to listen to some good music, and get some good laughs and stuff. And
Mhm.
I think it's a good way of maybe breaking the ice with people.
It can be medicinal, and it can also be transformative in other ways with your mind and with your thoughts and your beliefs, I think too, for sure. Um,
Yeah, yeah, man. I I think there is something where you connect with with God, with creation,
yeah,
by like if God is a creator, then creating is a connection that you
yeah,
are are making with God.
Your image bearing, yeah, absolutely. Like it's in our DNA to create, and the world tries to beat our creativity out of us. I think gets us to not think outside the box and not use our creative brains. It keeps us in survival mode. So, have you ever, real quick, have you ever heard of this guy on YouTube? He goes by Homath, Hoemath. Have you heard of him?
I think I may have run across that name before, but yeah, you fill me in on him.
Well,
Not for
I'm just
sure.
if you haven't heard of him, type in whoever's listening, whatever. Just if you're interested in the mind and the way it works, and um, he basically studied, I believe, 3 different researchers on that are very like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm trying to remember the other 2 guys. One's called Spiral Dynamics, and I forget the other one, but he put them all together in this color coded um, sort of simplistic way of getting all their info out called levels of thinking, and there are 9 levels. And I to use a you've heard of like the chakras is like they would say in the New Age. That's kind of another way of just describing the levels of thinking. But what he breaks it down, and it really, because everybody starts at 1. You like when you're born, you're in a level 1, and when you get to level 7, that's called second tier consciousness, and it's a step up. Like the level 6 is like the hippie level. It's like San Francisco. He's right here on level 6, and that's and that's what and that's how academia is operating, and they're keeping people at a level 6, which is, it is a high level of thinking, but it's not as high as we can get. And then if you jump up to 8, like that's third tier consciousness, and 9 is called sanctify, I believe. That I don't know. I took his test. I tested cognitively at a 7, and I it makes sense because I've always felt like the hippie. Like some people will call me a hippie because of my tendencies to be very free spirited and outside the box, but I'm just never been into the hippie thing. And but anyway, my point is like you're never at just one level. You are like when you go to the bathroom, you're at a level 1. Like it's just level 1 thinking. It's like I have an urge, I have to follow through on my urge. But the majority of society is, we used to be at a 5, which is the achiever level, and it's the first stage where you can develop like a global type of thinking where you can say, oh, they do it like that over there, and we do it like this over here. I get why we are different. And below that, it's like level 4 is like the way that the military operates and sports operate and the police. It's more of a law and order. Most men are at a level 4 in our society today. Most women are at a level 3, which is control. But yeah, we used to like be largely operating at a level 5, and we are going down.
Well, that's interesting, and it kind of harkens back to what you said a little earlier. Is like we're constantly running around like chickens with their heads cut off. A lot of times, like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we got to keep up with the
Mhm.
Joneses, or we gotta make more money. We gotta keep like
Yeah.
just struggling to survive out here.
Totally.
And just like I think there's something to. I think I remember listening to one of the podcasts I've recently been listening to, the Ripple Effect podcast with Ricky Varandas, and he had a guest on. They were talking about in order to tap into creativity, you have to feel safe. You have to be like in a position where you feel safe and not like the cortisol spiking stress like all the time. And
Mhm.
that's where some people call it the muse or the creativity kind of flows from that space of feeling like
Totally.
safe and secure.
It does, dude. It does. It really does. I can tell you from experience, most of my material, not all, but a good portion, like I spent many years making records, and I think I was like 25 when I finally got my own apartment. Like it took me a while. Like I was touring and just doing the whole thing, but I always felt safe at my parents' house. And so like all that music, all those initial ideas came from just being in my bedroom or being in the living room, picking up a guitar, being around good people, not feeling in survival mode, you know? And that I can attest to that. Like I actually, most of, not all, again, a portion of it was written, like the slave to servant material was written before I moved into my parents' house, but like maybe half of the slave to servant material was all written at my parents' house when I was living there because of a divorce that I was going through. I lived with them again for like 4 years, and that's where a lot of this came from. In fact, the one that we're covering today, I think all but like 2 songs maybe like I wrote at my parents' house. So I mean, I'm just speaking to that, like what you're saying. I feel that, like if you don't feel safe, like if you feel like you're in survival mode, like it's really hard to squeeze out
It's
something.
hard to be creative, right? Like,
Yeah, it is. I mean, I felt that way the last couple of years, to be honest. I've just been chilling, and now I'm kind of getting back to it. But
so tell me about your process, because I have heard this this one talk was about Robert Rodriguez, and he's the filmmaker that made
I love Robert
like
Rodriguez. Like,
Sin City and stuff like
dude,
that, and I think he
I've
wrote
got
a book.
all you should see my DVD shelf in there. Like, I've got them all, dude. And Desperado is like top 10 for me. Like, good lord, good lord, that changed. That's the reason I play guitar, is because I saw Desperado in 7th grade, and I was
Was
like,
that like his like first one of
no,
his first films,
it was
or
one
one
of
of the ones
them.
he was
So
working
he
on in
had
the beginning?
El Mariachi was his first.
Mariachi, that was the one that he wrote this book called Rebel Without a Crew, I think, talking
Oh,
about how he started with like very little resources and he just like made that film. Yeah.
yes. I mean, he that is a groundbreaking film. For the lack of budget that he had, and pulled that off, is
Yeah.
amazing. And I wouldn't say they're the same, but I do, like, I have the same admiration for like Kevin Smith and Clerks, the way he maxed out all those credit cards to and had to film it in black and white, and the soundtrack cost more than the movie, like to get
Yeah.
like Asylum and all these bands. So yeah, I'm really into film. I love film. I have all these soundtracks that we're speaking of too, like over here. I have a massive library of old media. But yeah, Robert Rodriguez is one of my favorite directors for sure. And El Mariachi was the first, and then Desperado was his. It was sort of like his. He has a very parallel timeline to Quentin Tarantino, because I believe the story is that El Mariachi got entered in Sundance or whatever, one of those festivals,
I think
and
that, yeah.
and so did Reservoir Dogs at the same time, and that's how they met. And then when Quentin was working on Pulp Fiction, after he sold the scripts to Natural Born Killers to Oliver Stone, and then he sold True Romance to somebody too, because he wrote both those. Um, uh, he used all that money and the Reservoir Dogs, heat to create his masterpiece, Pulp Fiction, right? And so while he was doing that, Desperado was being filmed at the same exact time, and they were like piggybacking on each other. And so like Quentin made a guest appearance in Desperado in one scene. But yeah, anyway, I'm a nerd. I'm an absolute nerd.
Well, I brought Rodriguez up because he sat down in a Joe Rogan interview,
Oh,
and he was
excellent.
talking he was talking about, yeah, and it wasn't too long ago. He was talking about the process he goes through, and he talks about just taking note cards. This is how he plans out his films. He just takes note cards, and then he'll write out like a scenario or whatever,
Yeah,
and then he'll just keep doing these note cards and filling out all the scenes of his movies by just putting pen to paper and starting
totally.
to let the creative process happen.
Pen to
And
paper. Pen to paper, bro. Like, that is the way. If it doesn't get written down, it doesn't get done. I swear to God. Like, you have to. There's a brain connection to that. that process.
I'm beginning to realize that more and more myself on attempting to get my own personal goals done. And very
Yeah.
much so, it's like, if it's just in your head, man, like there's very little chance that you might make that happen in reality. But there's something, like you said, about taking that pen and writing some things down to where it's like achievable steps that you need to take to make that come to reality. So
I would
there,
say even if you're dealing so I got trained in the last year I spent being trained as an emotional success coach. So I'm now certified. My modality is based in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, but it's like what we do is we walk people, because I told you like your emotions are so powerful. Like you can logically go like, yeah, like I can do that, like, but until you feel it, until it's visceral, like that, until you engage that part of the brain, a lot of times you can't. Like a lot of people just won't change because you have these everything's neural pathways, dude. So like it's like you have a pleasure neural pathway and a pain neural pathway. And you can I hear people say this all the time, all these stoic dudes, like, well, you must not want it enough. You must not, like these disciplinary kind of like motivational, like tough guy, meathead guys. And that's cool. Like, but I disagree. You can want two things at the same time. You can want it really bad. You can want the thing really bad, but there's a neural pathway that says the pain that is hurting to do this thing is greater. Like the donut that I want to eat right now is more pleasurable than the vegetables that I'm supposed to be eating with meat. But when you can rewire and feel it through, some people can do it by themselves. I help people do this all the time, but it's like when you walk through this step and you feel it and you make the choice for yourself, when you engage the negative neural pathways and the negative feelings, you have up to, I believe, 5 hours to lay down a whole new neural pathway over it. And so that's what we do, is we swap out. It's beliefs, but it's used with the emotion and the cognitive. But the emotion is what does it, dude. And that's how you get people to change their habits. That's how you get people to change their lives. So,
well, Rodriguez, going back to Rodriguez, in that interview, he talks about how he never saw himself as an athlete or anything like that. Like never saw himself like getting in shape and being an athlete or anything like that. And he struggled trying to do that for a long time. But he started telling himself, I am an athlete. I am an athlete. And then
yes,
got him into doing the thing and like sticking with it by telling himself, I am an athlete. And he basically put that in himself,
I did the same thing in 2017 when I had left my management job at a campground. I was going through a separation and eventual divorce. It was a very hard time for me, but I got my shit together. I got an emotional success coach who trained me now in what I do. But um, I had a plan to become a cover musician. And so I had made the business cards. I don't even know how many gigs I had booked at that point. I wasn't not enough to like pay the bills, like maybe like a few big gigs on the books. And I just went out with the business cards, and there was this moment like what you're talking about. And I remember saying it like at this winery. And I said, "Hey, my name's Sam Swanson. I'm a full-time musician." When I said that, I believed it, and I swear to God, everything changed from that point on. Like and then I'm like, I'm gonna say this because I am this. I am working on this. I'm becoming this. I am this, and I have to believe it. So yeah, dude, totally. Like that resonates huge with me.
Yeah, it's so funny. And when I know this from my personal life. It's once you start to put these things in your head that you're not worth something or you're not worthy of something, then it starts to become a negative feedback loop mechanism, and you
Mm,
start to become those thoughts that you
mm.
have about that.
Bro, you are hitting on some gold right now, because when you go to a counselor, when you go to any therapist, not, I shouldn't say any. I'm not a therapist, by the way. I'm a coach. I am not in that that ball game.
Yeah.
I could never say I'm a therapist. I'm not. I'm a coach.
Yeah.
Um, but most of what I hear from people is that they go to a therapist and they've been going for years, and they've been paying money every week, every 2 weeks, whatever it is. And what's happening, Greg, is that people, like, the therapist is doing maybe, I'll be generous, like maybe half the work they're supposed to do. Like, it, to really change somebody, you do have to engage with the negative. So like it becomes a venting session. It's like, oh, it does feel good to vent, but you at some point have to replace that with
Mm,
something positive.
yeah.
Like people will come to me and I ask them questions. I go into a know nothing state. Like, I don't know what your situation is. I have to figure this out. And when they start saying things, I'll be like, okay, like what's your goal today? Well, I don't want to blah 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 blah. Okay, then I have to rephrase it. So what do you want to do? Like, I have to get you to state it in the positive so that you get to a point of change and belief to be able to replace the negative. You know, like, we can sit here all day and say, well, I'm like, pick something. I don't care. Like, I don't drink. Cool. Well, what do you do? Like, like, that's great that you don't drink, but are you just gonna just do nothing? Like, how much better off is your life if you're doing nothing?
Yeah.
Um,
What do
anyway,
you do? What are you doing to be social? I guess
or
is
just
the question
productive,
there.
productive, right? Like, or like, a marriage, like, two people are together and it's like, well, I don't yell at her. Okay, well, what do you do? Like, I don't whatever, I don't bother him with this. Like, okay, but what do you guys do? What are you doing to move upward and onward and forward positively? you know I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Does that make more
grow.
sense? Like,
Well, I think it's like growth, right? Like I
yeah,
feel like if you stagnate in life, that can put you in kind of a dark place.
yeah,
But if you're constantly doing something to improve yourself and to move upward, it's like you kind of have like the upward spiral and then you have a downward spiral. It's like
mhm,
those two things are always possibilities at any point in time. Like, and
yeah,
you can make that choice to do the upward thing. It's not going to be easy, but if you're got your goal up here and
mhm,
you shoot and you get maybe here, well, you're like a lot better than where you were down here, you know? So
yeah,
it's like you're constantly working towards something that's like a mountain that you're climbing, you know?
mm,
Like that mountain is way up here, but you got to just keep taking those steps to start trudging up that mountain.
yeah. I'd like to share one quick little story just to share, like, kind of what I mean. But
Yeah.
I'm going to use my daughter as an example in this. Okay. So, back in October, I went to go pick my kids up in Ohio, and then I drove all the way up to northern Minnesota. Now, I was going to see my grandma. She was going to be turning 104, and so I wanted the kids.
104?
Yeah,
Wow.
she made it to 104 and died 2 weeks later. So,
Wow.
we gave her her first and only ice cream cake. It was awesome. But I wanted my kids to see her one more time. They'd only met her once right before she hit 100. So it was like, I just felt like it was that was just my intuition. Like, so I brought the kids. It had been a hard year. My daughter really was voicing not wanting to even go with me because I didn't have a house at the time. I was living nomadically. I can see why she didn't enjoy what I was offering. I was very far from her, and it was just a really hard thing. And when we stopped in Illinois for the first night of driving, at my friend's house. She woke up the next morning and it was just having a really hard time. It was like a really hard 24-hour period. And uh, basically I said, okay, we need to get your mom on the phone, And so I called her, and she did a really great job at talking to Lucy, and she was opening up all the, like, what are you feeling? What's going on? She was so understanding, and she helped her go into this place of activating the problem state. And I'm sitting there, and I'm almost finished with my training. So I'm just like, okay, go mom, and we got to this point where I was like, we just left her in silence with her pain. And I was like, okay, you're setting me up for a spike in volleyball right now, because I know what to do now. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I went into my coaching mode in my know nothing state, and I started saying, and I actually had a lot more that I would have done, but it started to work so well with her because she's very in tune with her emotions and very able to shift. I know my daughter. And so I said, Lucy, what is it at mom's that makes you feel so good? Like, what are the things that you miss right now that like really make you feel good? And she goes, Chewy, my dog. And she's like, the way he wants me to pet him. And I'm like, okay, well, let's imagine right now that Chewy's on your lap. Can you do that for me? And I got her to feel that. I got her to feel that presence of her dog. And you feel his fur, and what else? And we started going through this, and I was getting her to feel in the moment all the things that make her feel good. And before you know it, like I was gonna keep going, and she just got up and left me and her mom on the phone. She was back to the same old Lucy. It was crazy.
Wow.
I didn't even go through the full steps. It's that powerful. And there's a scripture in the Bible, and I'm gonna botch it, but it talks about King David, and there's this moment where David is um, distraught, and he brings forth to remembrance something from the past. So, like, the idea of remembrance and holidays in the Hebrew culture, like, were about observing and feeling those things and showing gratitude and actually getting in touch with your emotions, believe it or not. But anyway, so he did that. He brought something, and it says that he consoled himself and soothed himself, like the same way that I described about, like, what he did with a harp for Saul. It all comes down to these emotions. Like, again, like, they're really important. We are, like, putting them aside in our society today. We are a very Roman culture.
Yeah, I see that, and it is, especially for men, it's hard to like, I don't know, even be able to share any of those like kind of deeper emotions, because a lot of times it gets shut down. It's like,
Yeah,
what are you doing,
weird.
man? Suck,
Yeah, no,
suck it up,
get it,
man.
man. I totally get that. So
But
anyway, I guess we could go back into music if you want. But sorry, like, I will say this for those listening. I have a website called embracismcoaching.com. It's the
uh-huh.
it's the antithesis of escapism, which is my goal is to just help people. Like, hopefully, unlike a traditional therapist where you keep paying them week to week to week or whatever. My goal is, like, let's do a session or two and you're out, like, you're on your way. I mean, this stuff worked for me when I was going through a divorce. This helped me get into out of out of out of effect and into cause. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it helped me redirect my life when I was feeling very limited, you know? So,
Well, that's a good point that you bring up too. Is another way that I feel like, in what I've heard described from other past interviewer or past guests, is taking things outside yourself and being of service to others as a way to help you get out of that negative state, as well as like if you can find some way of adding value to somebody and people around you, it gets you outside of your own head. And the act of service to somebody else is like you're going to get a lot back from that.
Yeah. And fill your own cup too, right? Like you got to fill your own cup before you fill somebody else's. So you got to make sure that you do like take care of yourself. But yeah, I mean, isn't that kind of like what you said about like you're creating something. You're creating motion and movement and thought and like emotion and like growth in yourself and in others. You're creating a bridge. Like a problem is a gap between where you are and where you want to be. So you're doing that for somebody else, right, in some capacity, which feels amazing when you can help them, whether you're actually handing them what it is, or you're just helping them get out of that state that's inhibiting because we all have the resources in ourselves. Like God made us all with the resources. It's kind of like this. My coach for me was like, imagine if I had imagine if I had all my bills like were paid for the next forever. Like I had enough money in my account for years. Like wouldn't that be nice? But imagine like my bank account, I wasn't hurting, I was cool. And then all of a sudden this outstanding bill comes. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I thought this was taken care of. I have enough fun. I know I have enough funds. So I go to my ATM and I go to grab some funds out, and I put my debit card in and I forget my PIN. And that's the gap. That's the gap between, like, I've just forgot it. I don't know what the number is, but having that coach, he helps me remember that number and find that number in myself. You know what I mean? That's just an analogy,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's, it's just like a lot of times we can get wrapped up in, I feel like our culture has kind of made us to where we've become very self-centered, and not as focused on other people around us. We're very like, I feel like our modern society, we're on the screen so much that we're so disconnected from each other. Whereas that was not the norm until, very recently with all the television, and starting with television and now with the internet, and we're in front of screens so much that we're really lacking that, person to person connection. And there are a lot of people that are, it's hard for them to even make eye contact with you when they talk to you, so
yeah, it is.
We're kind of losing a bit of our humanity. But I do see that, things like the home, like people getting into homesteading and getting more connected with nature and wanting to grow their own food and wanting to kind of reconnect with some of these things that I guess are kind of lost in our modern society. Like I feel like there's a real yearning to get back to some of that, especially once you realize like how everything's so manipulated and so poisoned with our food and our, all the propaganda that gets fed to us, and all this stuff that's in our modern society that's really like putting us in that lowered fear state, right?
Yeah. Can I just hit on something you just said real quick? Because you mentioned propaganda and you mentioned screens, and I want to just tie all of that together in a very simple way. And it also ties in with psychology. So you know who Sigmund Freud was, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
So do you know who Edward Bernays was?
Yeah. Okay. He was the cousin of Freud or something like that.
Nephew, I think, or great nephew or whatever he was. So Edward Bernays, if you know anything about Edward Bernays, he's the father of public relations. And public relations is a term that he rebranded because propaganda was a bad word after World War I. So nobody wanted to accept that. So he's the guy who got us to essentially, he marketed our desires to us. Like we were like, I think about like Trump's slogan, right? Like make America great again. And I think about like, how long have we not been great? Because it's been a while. Like we used to actually live within our means and only buy one pair of shoes, like, and that's what Edward Bernays did to society in like the 20s, like where we had all these surplus of things. Well, we have this overstock. Okay, let's cater to desire, and that's where we get our self-centeredness. That's where we get, like, it just amplifies, and it caters, and they are doing it all the time. They're dipping into our emotions all the time. These are emotional decisions. They're not needs. They're not even logical, like, and so, but furthermore, I just want to put this out there. Do you know who Mark Randolph is?
No, I haven't heard of that guy.
All right, let's just extrapolate a little further. If you look up Mark Randolph, it's Mark Bernays Randolph, the great nephew of Edward Bernays. It's Marc. He is the co-founder of Netflix.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So he got us to binge watch, and I think we are in the worst place we've ever been. I think that it started with reality TV and went into streaming, and it's just like we all have computer brain. We're so disconnected, and so thank you, elite families. Thank you.
There's an interesting story about Bernays that I heard not too long ago on one of the podcasts I was listening to, where he talked about how he got they were trying to get women to smoke because that was a big market that they wanted to tap into.
Feminism. He's like responsible for the whole third wave feminist, like torches in the air.
Torches for Liberty was the campaign, and they got some like debutantes to go out at one of these like marches or whatever, and got it set up to take the photos of them lighting up their cigarettes, because it was like pretty taboo at the time for women to be smoking. So they took the pictures and like set those all around, and then they like made it cool for women to be smoking, so they opened up a whole market.
Was that Slims, or was that Lucky Strikes? I can't remember.
I don't know the specific cigarette, but
it was one of those two. I can't remember, but Edward Bernays is also the guy. He's the reason you and I eat bacon in the morning.
That's right, yeah.
Garbage. They just threw it all away. They had all these scraps, and they figured out, oh, let's make it a breakfast food. So like these things are not like, age old things that people were doing all the time. Like it's, man, yeah, it's. The more you know. So
well, I mean, but that really shows like what we've been talking about here is how powerful those things are with your mind, and how we've been given all this way of thinking, and it really is like a process to kind of get out of that again. Like, we've been given all this stuff. We were born into this world, into this system, and the way things have been operating for so long, which I really think is like a lot of it has to do with mind control and controlling our perceptions, how we perceive reality.
It is. I mean, your mind, like I said, there's no such thing as objective thinking. It's all subjective. It's the narratives that you tell yourself. There are true things there are empirically true things, but it's still, everybody has their own perception of the truth and what that means. And like, none of us are the same. So yeah, you have to guard your mind for sure. This kind of, maybe we can segue into the release today,
Yeah. Let's talk about the new album. You are releasing, or you've released the new album that you've come out with, Slave to Servant, is called The Red Tapes.
The Red Tape.
Red Tape.
Yep.
Yeah, and you get into some of this stuff on the album. Like you have these interesting, like, it's like a DJ playing it's like the radio DJ coming in, and he's like the character of like the devil, I guess, like Beelzebub or whatever is what you have. And it's like, yeah, kind of like They Live or whatever, where it's like, you gotta do this, guys, and isn't this gonna be great? And
Yeah,
go on
it's
this path.
yeah, it's sort of like what I was saying. Like, what if the radio just told the truth? What if there was a time when radio, or at least in the era that I grew up in, where radio was the power? Like, that was the real power, the Prince of the Air. That was where we got our advertising. That was where we got all the new music. Everybody listened. We didn't have algorithms, so I just thought it sort of was a good snapshot of where I came from, of that era. And what if I just simply flipped everything upside down, where instead of disguising, and being tricky and operating on an occultic kind of level, or an esoteric kind of level, we just said what everything was. And so
Yeah.
the DJs, the radio station for this release is called 66.6 FM, the
Yeah,
Beast.
yeah.
And my homies at Canary Cry Radio / Canary Cry News Talk, they Basil and Gons, they play the DJs. And
Oh, really? Okay.
yes, and so it's like the antithesis of what Canary Cry is, because they're watchmen, like they're doing the total opposite thing. So we just wrote the script around, like, let's just flip it upside down of what you guys normally do, and but make it kind of a satire. It's like, this is kind of funny, haha, but
Yeah.
kind of also true, which is like, oh, like, and so we're utilizing comedy, like you said,
Yeah.
I think in a really great way to expose truth. And I thought it, like, the reason why I did a radio show for this was because in 2019 is when I got this idea. I was recording Escape Babylon. This is all before COVID, but I was like, what if I just did something so crazy? Like, what if I recorded dance, like house songs? I recorded gospel songs. I recorded metal, ska, punk, indie rock, hip hop, like all of, like what if I could just, because I could do it all. Like, I know I can do it all. Why don't I just do it all? But how would that work? How would I make that, like, how do you present something that where every
I
so
see
different?
I see how that works with the radio concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like a radio would broadcast all kinds of genres, and like it was a different artist. But you find out at the beginning, well, I think, is it track 4? I think track 4, if you go on Bandcamp and go listen to it. The CD version of this, the Bandcamp version, let's go reference Mr. Robert Rodriguez here. The director's cut of this, the actual, what I intended to be released, is on Bandcamp. So if you can go download that for free, you can go stream it for free on Bandcamp. It is not available on any streaming platforms. I'm just totally walking away from all that madness right now for various reasons. But with the CD there, I had to keep it under 80 minutes. And so the version on Bandcamp is 1 hour and 33 minutes. So it's
Okay.
so this one I had to cut back. I think I cut 6 tracks off of it, and I decided to cut off what I would call the interludes. So there are 11, like, if you can divide the Red Tape into 3 sections, the Bandcamp version, there are 11 actual songs, like new songs, but they're all different genres. There are 11 skits and commercials and radio type talk time stuff.
Oh yeah. I like that. Like the old way that they did like Saturday Night Live, like commercials and stuff. That I kind of felt like that in there.
Yeah. And then there are 11 interludes, as I would call them, although I think interlude is quite a understatement, because an interlude is typically like under 2 minutes, and some of these are like 5-6 minute interludes, but they are beats that I made and had different researchers or figures or artists, like, just dropping science, just speaking wisdom, speaking knowledge, like feeding you some stuff over the beat. And some of those have samples of major label artists. Like there's a Tupac sample from Keep Your Head Up on Money for Wars. And then there was a Marley Marl sample with Chuck D on America Eats the Young. And then there was a RX Bandit sample on Babylon Don't Make the Rules. And there are some other ones as well. Point being is that I don't want to get in trouble for having samples, because clearing samples is a mess. Like you can clear covers, but clearing samples has so many publishing like strings attached to it that, yeah, I'd be in trouble. Like I probably would get in trouble for even having it on Bandcamp, but I don't care. So it's there. But the CD version doesn't have any of the ones with samples. So you can go to slavettoservant.bandcamp.com and experience that, or you can go to samswansonmusic.com and you can get the 27 track version CD in my web store, which is right behind me on the wall here. But here's the CD version that I just got in. I just sent Greg a copy today in the mail, snail mail style.
Yeah.
Also my friend from Chicago did all the artwork to it, did a bang up job. He's been studying the occult for years. And
oh, wow.
And he's not like like he doesn't believe exactly the same thing I believe, but he knows a lot of stuff. And I'm so glad that God put him in my life, because we have some of the most amazing dialogues, and it felt like our worlds collided for this like perfectly. So
cool.
But yeah, that's the kind of the gist of the Red Tape, in short. What the idea was. In red, I think it's the color of blood. It's
right.
it's the life that's being extracted from us. We also, like, unbeknownst to me, I had no foresight that there was going to be COVID in 2020. Like I thought I was just going to make a ton of art and release it like really soon, and that slowed the whole process down, which Red Tape slows you down. You know, like they're so also I think that what's interesting to note, and it wasn't intended when I first started, but the idea of having our life extracted from us every day, our energy, our lifeblood. Something like COVID hit, and so many people took that vax, and I think that we have yet to see the full effects of what's going to happen with all those vaccines.
Yeah.
Let alone a plethora of other things that have happened, which I won't get into. But I think so. This was kind of just a time capsule of this period. It's like the soundtrack to a pandemic, you know?
Yeah. This is real. So you came up with this stuff before that all went down? This happened before everything went down in 2020, I guess?
So the Singularity poster behind me, the white one.
Yeah.
Those are all singles I was starting to release in 2019, but I'd started recording some of those songs in like 2015, I think is when I started writing. And then I finished demoing all this stuff in 2019. And so I was finishing Singularity, all the demos and B-sides, and then I was recording Escape Babylon all 2019. And at the turn of 2020, like I was finishing all my vocals in the studio. Like I was almost done with Escape Babylon, but I had already had that summer while I was doing it all. Like I was talk about what you bring it back. Let's go full circle back to what you said. I was in a very safe place. It was my best year, 2019, being a musician. Like I made the most money that I have made off of playing music that year. I just everything was flourishing. Like I had built the thing for like 3 years, and it was like, oh man, it just keeps going up, you know? And so I was in such a good place that I'm like, I could spend $20,000 on this record. I'm going to do it. And so when I was doing that, all my gears, Greg, were just, I was in a flow state.
Were you like a download basically? Did it feel like you were just kind of like the conduit of it?
It's the songwriting robot. I got this tattooed on me. I got it finished in 2019 in November, but during that time. But
interesting.
It's the hand of God, and it's beaming the music and he's printing it all out, you know. So
yeah, wow.
But yeah, that's like how I feel. I feel like God just was like, and I feel like there were so many things going on at that time. Like Chappelle came back for that wild stand up, and I was like so inspired by what he was saying. Like, this is not PC at all. Like, wow, this dude
Yeah.
is. There were, and Kanye was about to release Jesus is King and all this stuff. There was just some interesting moves going on right before COVID hit, and I felt like my finger was on all these pulses that most of society wasn't paying attention to, and God had kind of opened my eyes back in like 2012 to a lot of stuff. Like, I had, my journey is a long one, and so I had all the content was there, and I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm going to work on this next project. When I'm done with Escape Babylon, I will attack the red tape. Like, I knew what it was called. I knew what I was going to do. I didn't know how it all was going to sound, but I knew like generally what was going on. And I had written, again, I used pen and paper. I used notebooks. I still have all the OG notebooks for all these releases, all these just step by step, day by day, like when the things
Yeah.
come. But so I have a feeling.
When is like the best time for you to like get into that mode? Is it just happens randomly and it just things start coming to you and you just gotta get a pen and paper and write them down?
Have you
Do you
ever?
do you sit down and focus on it, or how does that happen?
It feels like I don't focus on it. It feels like it. Well, I do focus on it, but it feels like it comes at a time when I'm not really trying, and my focus is sort of interrupted and consumed by it, if you
Hmm.
will. It almost feels like it's outside of me,
Hmm.
you know. But I have control over it, and I know when it's happening. And there are conditions I think that you can create to, sort of facilitate that. But have you read The Creative Act by Rick Rubin?
No, I haven't.
You should read that.
Okay.
I only say that because I read it and I felt validated, because I pretty much live that way. I've lived that way my whole life, and I don't like I don't compute with most of society. So
Yeah.
um so so like, but it's a great read. It's really easy. Like, there's a lot to glean out of it, and it even taught me some things. Like, I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Like, you were talking about Robert Rodriguez. He was working with a limited budget. Sometimes working with less is more. Sometimes limiting your creativity to only, like, I'm not going to play guitar on this. Like, I'm not going to, like, I'm going to do this instead, like, it will get a totally different result. It will make different parts of your brain work. You will develop other things. Like, it's really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's a great book, great read. I'd say that in short, my certainly what you said about being in a safe place, being not in survival mode. Like, I can't usually squeeze anything out when I'm in survival mode. Sometimes I can squeeze out anguish, like lyrics and things like that, but I feel like most of the time it doesn't work out very well when I'm in that place. Some people, maybe it works for them better. It never has really worked that way for me. Like, um, but I also find that my best ideas come when I'm active, when I'm sort of not doing music, and I'm like, I go on a hike,
Okay.
and my rapid eye movements, like looking all around me, my vision is out in the hills, and it's like there's something about that really helps me. Um, I don't know. I don't know what the magic ingredients are, but you know what I love is you remember the Chronicles of Narnia?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
C.S. Lewis. Yeah.
I'm gonna paraphrase this for a second, but at the last like few paragraphs of Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, like gold, such gold, because I think that in essence is what you're asking, and it's the professor is like something like, he's like, of course you'll go back to Narnia, but don't look for it in the same place. Don't try the wardrobe, don't look for the coats, don't, all these things, like, and like, it'll happen when you're not looking. And that's the way it is for me, man. Like, I'm not usually looking, and ideas start to flow, and then I just write them down. When they come, they come. I don't force it. I can force myself to just make things, like make music, make instrumentals, there are certain things I can do. But most of the time it just feels like very seamless. So, and I love, yeah, it's such a good, God, Narnia is so good. Like the whole series is awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah, don't tell people about it. Like they won't understand you, like if they haven't been there. And you'll know when you meet somebody that's been to Narnia. Like it feels like this is artist speak to me, at least from my life. Like it's like a metaphor.
Well, I have my background is different, but I feel like, so training with like the math part of your brain and like the logical part, it seems like it can push away some of the more like outside the box thinking on certain things. You're kind of
Mm,
like maybe losing a little bit of that in yourself. But when solving problems, I remember reading some stuff about Tesla and Nikola
mm,
Tesla talking about how he could actually build the models of the thing he wanted to create in his mind. And he
mm,
could do like all these different iterations of a design in his mind, like you would do on a CAD, like a computer aided design system or drafting table. And he would like do this all in his mind. And there have been certain times in my life when I would be working on a problem or trying to build something, and you would kind of like, I would fall asleep and I would be thinking about those things, and you could kind of see how those things are working out in your mind as you're falling asleep, and then the next day you're like able to figure out that problem.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, sleep is wonderful, by the way. Like taking a nap in the middle of the day is like a lot of those, like Einstein, like these people like used to take like those 20-40 minute power naps, and that can get you into that thinking. Well, and what something you're hitting on, I don't think that the logic part is a bad thing. I think logic is great. I think there's a balance to be had between both. I think there's supposed
yeah, I really think
I
the
think we need a
balance is
balance.
key.
I think having both is so key. And um I think that what you're hitting on is convergent thinking, which would be more of a logic-based thing. It's like being able to parse through and organize and, you know, like create something cohesive, as opposed to the divergent thinking is a really left brain or right brain like thing. Like I'm a very divergent thinker. Like I can naturally just let my mind go into all these weird places, but then it's like you gotta grab them, write them down, consider them. Now we're using our convergent thinking to like parse through and organize them. So I think that the logic is really important. I think that the other part, the emotion, is really important. And I think that what the logic though does is it helps you understand things. It might help your skills, like if you're really good at math, like, and you understand the math of the instrument and you practice your scales and you practice your arpeggios and you practice your, you know what I'm saying, like you
They they're related. They are
they
related.
are related. There's nothing wrong with utilizing your logic and your practice and your muscle memory to be better at your instrument. But when it comes down to it, I think you still need to be able to tap into that divergent thinking as well. I think that's what makes art really great, is to be able to go divergent and then convergent and bring them together. So,
Hmm. Yeah, there was also another part of this is that tapping into something that the information is coming to you and you don't really know where that's coming from. And there's one of these scientists, Rupert Sheldrake. I read his book. It's called Morphic Resonance, and he kind of like hints in that book about uh, sharing kind of a collective mind or collective consciousness in a way that
mhm,
species kind of uh, share some of the consciousness. He talks about in the book like there'd be like a mouse solving a maze in this one part of the world, and then in another part of the world it would be like the same species of mice, and they'd be able to solve the maze faster.
Mm.
And it's just kind of interesting. There's like a lot of stuff that we still don't really realize on how the consciousness works, and
Yeah.
is it inside of our brain, or are we tapping into it for certain things, or
Right.
is it almost like an antenna or something like that, where we're kind of like tapping into this God, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's kind of like, you can go New Agey with it, or you can go Christian with it, or Hebrew with it, or whatever culture you want. But like, some people, I don't subscribe to the other ones, but I think they're trying to say a lot of the same things that the other ones are. You know what I mean? Like, when they do describe things, and yeah, I think it's all there. I don't think at the end of the day, I'm really writing anything. Like, I'm the conduit, but I think it's all around us. This energy is all around us. God is all around us. God is also outside of us. Like, he's outside, so yeah, you can see him in everything, but he made everything. And so, like, yeah, that's the part where I go, when I hear people say the universe, man, like, I'm like, that's cool. God created the universe. Like, like, I can't get, but I do appreciate the people that believe whatever they believe. I just look at, like, the universe is like, this whole thing is like a computer. I don't know if I said this on the last interview with you or not, but
I don't know, but there's a lot of people that have been, a lot of scientists that have been talking about, like, when you look at everything that's going on, it very much seems like it's like running like a simulation, is what they describe.
well, and it's like this. It's sort of like, yeah, there's the simulation theory too.
Yeah.
It sort of is like that, because we're in a sin, like, there's a fallen state, so there's this sin feedback loop going on. Actually, Gans Shimura, from Canary Cry, he's created a series since 2011 called Age of Deceit. Have you ever seen any of his films?
No, I don't think I have.
Bro,
Got to dive into it.
bro, I'm gonna send you some links, homie. Like, this is good stuff, really good stuff. But he talks about that in Age of Deceit 3. I have all the DVDs physically here, but you can get them on YouTube, I think, most of them. First one's called Fallen Angels and the New World Order, Age of Deceit. Second one is, it deals with transhumanism. And then the third one, I forget, cybernetics, and I forget, it's kind of deals with, like, the hive mind, the algorithms, the like, kind of what we're talking about. And then he just released his fourth one, which I haven't even watched in full yet. I need to get down to it. But anyway, he's one of my he helped me create this whole project, like, long ago. He played on like at least 2 or 3 of the songs on Singularity, like the Yeshua acoustic version. He played on Baptized in Credit. He played on Flying Saucers and Atonement. Those 4 for sure. And then he did a remix of Baptized in Credit for me. So there's 5 songs that he's been on Slave to Servant with guitar or something. And then he mixed this entire, like, he sequenced the red tape for me recently. So
Oh, wow.
he's my Japanese twin. He's 4 days younger than me, and we were both swimmers. We were both musicians. We're both Christian truther podcasters. We're just weirdos. But
Wow.
hey, you should really check out Gans Shimura, like Face Like the Sun, the YouTube channel. Check that out.
Yeah. I've listened to some of his stuff, but I need
He's
to dive deeper into it.
his channel got banned during COVID, and he just got it back. So I recommend.
Yeah, it seems like they've been letting some of the people back that got like super banned, man. Like,
Man, they
some of
lost
the guys that I follow, like at the Ripple Effect with Ricky Varandas. I think he got his YouTube channel back, and James Corbett got his YouTube channel back recently. But yeah, man.
If this could do anything like the red tape, if it can just get people to check out Canary Cry News Talk or Canary Cry Radio, please go there. Like, don't even worry about buying my record. Just go check out that stuff, because these guys are like, they've been in this since 2012. They've been podcasting, and they've interviewed so many legends in that whole weird fringy Christian truther thing. Like, they have just years of experience. Great people, good homies. Check them out.
Yeah, you mentioned the transhumanism thing, and that's very much. There was recently an interview with Peter Thiel that came out where the interviewer was asking him if the human race was worth saving, and he paused and he was like, didn't really want to answer or whatever, and then he started going into this whole thing about like we're gonna augment ourselves so crazily, with all this technology. And I've had discussions with people about like the impact of allowing technology into your body, and some people are totally like on board with that, and it's like you know it's a two-way thing.
I
It's like,
can I can see some of it. Like, I could see like how the convenience of being somebody who's a diabetic, like where you have to
yeah,
take.
that's what I got in the conversation with. Is like
Yeah,
I could see where it can be helpful for people that are like, have severe disabilities and stuff, and being able to kind of get some normal functioning back. But yeah, it seems like
did we
it's
talk about?
being sold to the general population as like this is gonna be you're gonna be like superhuman and like kind of.
Well, that's what I believe at the end of the day, Greg. That's what the transgender thing is all about. Because at some point, after mutilating one's body and changing your hormones, and give it 10 years, give it 20 years, you're going to be in a state of some sort of regret, I think. You're going to find that the manifestations and the repercussions of what you've chosen to do is maybe less than desirable. And I think what's going to happen before 2045 is that they are going to come up with some sort of technological solution for these people, because they are the guinea pigging. They will go from transgender, transsexual, trans whatever to transhuman, because their quality of life will be better. So technology will be the answer. It'll be the Hegelian dialectic,
Problem
solution.
reaction solution.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're the testing ground. I think it's very prevalent. I think ever since I heard about the bathroom bill, and then I found out more about transhumanism, I thought I've been thinking about that. And Gons has been following. I don't know if he's made that direct point, but he's been talking about transhumanism since 2011. And so yeah, my finger's been on the pulse forever, like with this stuff, and it seems like the world is only just catching up to the stuff that we were talking about a long time ago, and which is in my music. But the what was I gonna say? I lost it. Boomerang. It'll come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just being sold, right? It's being propagandized to people as like this is going to make you super great and you're going to have all these new capabilities. But to me, it's just another way that you can be controlled. Is what it
Totally.
seems like.
Absolutely. It's all about control. It's all about control. And we as humans forget how much power we have on a daily basis, like talking about the emotional intelligence, talking about all these kinds of things. You have control. God gave you four main things that you always have control over. And one is, believe it or not, your thoughts, your emotions, your words, and your actions. You can control them. You can't control necessarily what comes in, but you can control how you respond to them. And that's our power. Nobody can take it away from my feelings aren't your feelings. You're not responsible for anything that I feel, or think, you know. So yeah, I think that we are sort of at a place, and I see it in art. I feel like my art might get to a point where starts to get more boring to society, because as I come into more truths like this, I'm like, well, I listen to these emotional songs and I go, like, I don't know, I'll throw one out. Like, I cover songs for a living, like Chris Isaac, like Wicked Game, you know?
Wicked Game, dude. That was early in the podcast. One of my guys that would listen, Soundwaves Photon, was his handle. He would always bring up Chris Isaac's Wicked Game, like all the time.
Great song. Great song.
Yeah.
But what does he say in it? Like, how many songs do this?
What a wicked game we played.
What a wicked game you played to make me feel this way. Like you aren't taking responsible for, you're creating the feelings. They're here. You have to figure out how to, responsibility is your ability to respond. So you have to figure that out. That's your power. You know, what is it? Viktor Frankl, that book. You know who he is?
Man Search for Meaning. Maybe?
Yeah. What did he say? He said something like, the last thing that a man has control over, or like that can't be taken from a man, is his ability to choose his, like, how he perceives, and like his joy, like his circumstances, like how he views it. You know what I mean? I'm doing a bad job at, trying to paraphrase that, but yeah, like, this is a Holocaust survivor, so it's these are truths that were not taught in school. Maybe that could have helped. Maybe some gardening too. I don't know.
That kind of brings me, I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, Richard. I think his name is Richard Wurmbrand, but I heard about his story a while back, and he was basically tortured by the communists, and he was like a Christian preacher, and he found that he didn't let the torture get to him, and I think they made like a movie called Tortured for Christ about him. And
keep talking. I'm just going to turn on my light because it's starting to get very dark.
Okay. Yeah, so Wurmbrand was like joyful in this suffering because he said that he had the opportunity to spread the message of God to the people that were torturing him, basically. And it's a very interesting and inspiring, like, even though you find yourself in like maybe the most dire situation, that he found purpose in being able to say, like, I can get this message to you, because the communists are all about like destroying God, basically, like getting away from.
The goals of communism are pretty much identical with the original Bavarian Illuminati. Like, they're very much like lockstep.
Well, in that, I think at the core of that, the control of the perception, if you cannot imagine that there is an existence outside of yourself or an existence after you die, then you can get people, and you can control people through their fear of death and control them in all kinds of ways. So if you can destroy that, then you get really a lot of control over people.
Are we in church, Greg? Are we in church? Preach it, brother. Preach
no,
it, brother.
but I mean, like, that's, I think, that why there is such a move to destroy that connection to God with us, because it gives people that want to control a lot more power over people. Because if you can get them to think that this is all that there is, and that I can, do whatever to, if you have a population that is not afraid, then they aren't able to be controlled. So
absolutely. And so much since COVID, our society is crumbling, like, mentally. It's jaw-dropping how many people need help now. They don't have enough therapists for everybody. So before, people like me who were coaches were frowned upon, and now they need coaches because there just aren't enough therapists. They need all the extra help they can get for people.
I really see that, man. It really feels like that is the case, is that there are so many people that are in that fear state that there needs to be a lot of healing and figured out like how you can flourish instead of being in survival mode.
Totally. Survival never goes out of style. But it's nice to again, it goes back, I'll bring it back to those levels of thinking. Like, the problem is that if we're in that like survival mode, right? If we're in like a 3-4 mentality, and we're not in achiever mode, and we're not vibrating a little higher, like, so many problems are caused at the lower levels of thinking. But if you have to, like, that's what I do as a coach. I get you into a higher level of thinking and feeling with utilizing your emotions, which is your brain, not just your heart, as I said. And I don't remember who the person was that said it, but it's something like, often many problems cannot be solved at the same level of thinking in which they were created. You have to get to a higher level. You know this, you're solving problems. So you have to get to the higher state. But if you're always in that mode, you're never going to be able to solve it. So we have IQ has dropped. I'm don't quote me, but I think since 93, I had heard that it dropped like 15 points. Like the rubric is like 15 points lower. And like the military, from what I understand, is like, they don't accept anybody like 82 or below, like, or something like that. And so we're like hovering on average, like around that mark, unfortunately. And so let's think about that. If our IQs are dropped, we've all got computer brain, and then we're all in survival mode, we're all anxious, then we're creating way more problems. We're never solving them. And it's leaving people a much less amount of people that are thinking at a higher level to try to solve all your problems. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, which is a recipe for disaster. Yeah.
It's dude, the writing's on the wall. It's like, I don't know. All I know is what I'm called to do is I know when I'm called, like I said, I don't know when it is, but when it happens, when I get the download, it's like, all right, God, I'm showing up. I'm going to make this record. I'm going to do this thing, whatever it is. But now it's like, I'm trying to shift right now, and I'm just taking kind of a break from composing anything like slave to servant related. Although I will say I do have potential plans for a sequel to the Red Tape called the Green Tape. And that can be a discussion for later, but I don't know how long I have, and maybe I'll do it on the next lockdown. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, certainly we've been trained.
Do you think people will fall for it a second time? I don't know.
Yeah, I do. So. And the reason why I think so is because I don't think it's going to be for the same reason. I think that they've trained us through the guise of a pandemic. I think next time it's going to be a different reason, but we all know the fire drill. We all know what we have to do. We all know the tornado drill, right? We know the protocol. So put on your mask, all these things, distance yourself, stay at home, whatever it is, we're ready. We're ready now. Like the vast majority of people, they got their vax. Like, this is something I think about, Greg. Sorry, can I hyper speculate for a second?
Yeah.
In regard to the vaccine, can you imagine? Have you ever heard of? I'm sure you've heard of. Is it Project Bluebeam? I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah. I've heard of Bluebeam.
Gons covered that in the first Agent of Deceit film in 2011. Like, he has a whole chapter on that.
Yeah, basically can project things into the sky that may look like a deity of some kind, or a craft, or kind of make it look like whatever they want. Really,
I might furthermore just call it Operation Green Beam, but that's for different reasons. Project Green Beam. My point of this is, imagine if there was a projection in the sky that looked so convincing to the naked eye. Like, imagine the technology, right? Because we're sitting here, we're like, oh yeah, look at ChatGPT. Greg, I'm not convinced that ChatGPT hasn't been out for like 20 to 30 years. I'm not I'm not convinced that all of Netflix or the majority of Netflix was just written with some sort of AI. Like, I don't know. How do I know? I don't know. I'm sure there are authentic shows that were written by authentic people, but I wonder how much of Netflix was actually AI based. And this is like the experiment on the population, and look what it's doing to us. Anyway, I'm tangenting. The main point is, imagine this green beam, whatever it's going to be, this what's the word I'm looking for? God, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Hologram.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It was there. Thank you. Imagine some sort of holographic, technological, intense light show, and then we have like 5G. We have electricity. We are electric people, right? We are electric. We are in a direct current society or system. And you were talking about Tesla earlier. Like, I could tangent even further on a book that I'm reading right now called The Invisible Rainbow. And
I have that book. I haven't dove into it yet.
Arthur Furstenberg, dude. I got me some linen right here. Anyway, forget the tinfoil hat. I got linen. Anyway.
Yeah, I need to dive into that one.
Oh, yeah. But let's just say that this goes down, this event. I'm going to say by 2045 this happens for sure. But we're going to have this light show, and we're going to walk outside, and a lot of people are going to be just convinced based on vision alone. But there will be some of us that are like, yo, I don't know about this. Like me, I'm going to be a total skeptic. And then there's going to be a further layer now, I believe, because of this red era that we're in, with the jabs. I believe that it's possible. I'm hyper speculating. Can we just have fun? You know, like whatever.
Yeah.
Remember when you would have like a video game and you would be playing against your buddy, like let's say PlayStation or Xbox or something, whatever, and they had the Rumble Pack in there.
Yeah.
And like you get punched with a Rumble Pack and you feel the vibration in your remote. Well,
right.
What if some of these jabs cause some sort of visceral experience in the human body that we don't feel, based on this sort of disclosure event where they're like, this is God, this is a higher, you know, like these people are physically convinced, like where we are just like, I don't get it, bro. I didn't take it. I don't know. It's just a theory, you know, just don't shoot me.
No, I do. I had been doing a show with one of my friends about some of this technology capabilities, and there's something out there called Tesla phoresis, and they were showing how they could apply frequencies to a ferro fluid, and it would basically organize into a circuit. And so yeah, there's tech that's out there that is very much kind of along the lines of what you're talking about. Yeah, that exists, and they've been talking about. Yeah.
And it might not be the jabs. It might be in some other way that it comes. Like, I feel like if there was another event, then they would have another, whatever it would be, they would have some other solution that would come along, some, you know, Hegelian dialectic type thing where they could implement it. I mean, we know that 5G went up during COVID. So, and that's the interesting thing about that Furstenberg book, dude. Like, when he walks you through Tesla's patents, like 1889, like we went from direct current to alternating current, like the first influenza outbreak happened. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've been reading it. I've been reading another book. So is along.
When I say that, I don't mean like we didn't have influenza before. I mean like the first massive event.
No, EMF plays a big part.
Yeah,
Electromagnetic frequencies. Yeah,
and Arthur actually he he claims that he has the data, I guess, that the tests that were done during that outbreak, those first outbreaks, they tried to infect people with germs. They would be like, they'd bring in people who did not have influenza, and they'd like spit in their eye or whatever, you know what I mean? Like they do all these tests to try. Not one person got infected through germs. So it kind of puts germ theory maybe with at least a question mark, like a little bit. And not that germs don't exist and that they don't cause things, just maybe not some of these mass things that we're told. And
I've been questioning that a lot because I've been reading this book, What Really Makes You Ill by David Parker and Don Lester, I think, are the authors of it. And in a lot of it, they talk about like it's toxins in the environment, EMFs,
yeah,
and poor nutrition, lack of certain vitamins, things that are some of the main causes of what gets you sick.
well, yeah, and yeah, he further like walks you through each implementation, like radio waves, like Marconi on that island, like, and I believe it was like either the birds or the bees, or the birds and the bees all left the island when he was developing radio waves. And then the radio waves got basically like World War I was the distribution of all the radio, like all the technology all over the world. They put satellites all up. And so then we had more sickness. And he just walks you through every implementation of this because basically in theory, electricity, if you harness electricity on the earth, like anytime man creates it, even a direct current, which is less bad as opposed to alternating current, but like even the direct current that man would make, there's always pollution that comes off of the what they call
there's noise, dirty electricity,
electricity, yeah. So if that's true, and he walks you through all these things, and you get to 96 when they started implementing all the internet towers, right? But now we're in that wireless thing, and I'm just wondering, like I had long COVID, and I wonder, was that caused by 5G? Like I wonder what was going on that there was not. I've never had anything like it. And I think one of the other things that's very fascinating is, like, he also claims that since 1889, like all these events, like we saw like the first mass like anxiety disorder, we saw like cancer, like cancers didn't come along till later, like all this stuff, diabetes, mass diabetes, I forget the other, asthma, and then we can maybe lump, I don't know, autism maybe into some of this, I don't know. But all I'm saying is that it's man,
there's several parts of the equation, I believe. The vaccines, I think, are a big part of it.
Yeah. Well, you know what I was going to say was, he claims that it's the way that the technology, the electricity, whatever it is affecting our digestive systems. It affects specifically the way that we break down sugar and fat and all these kinds of things. So it would make sense why we're getting more disease, why we're more obese, why we're, like you look at our population, obviously it's the food too, it's other things. But I think that this invisible rainbow, as Arthur Furstenberg is speaking of in this book, I think it exists, man. Like, I don't know. I'm leaning towards it. You know what I mean?
Well, there's another book. I haven't gotten into this one, but it's referenced by some of these other guys that, like specifically Dr. Jack Cruz. I've been getting into some.
Oh, love that dude.
Dr. Cruz's information, and he references Robert Becker's The Body Electric, and very much about, like, how our we've got iron in our blood and our heart is pumping blood all the time, so we're expressing an electromagnetic field.
We are electric. We're part of it. We are, like, not to sound like a new ager, but we are like light. We are light beings. Like this whole system, God created a direct current system. Like the ground is a ground. It's wild. But Yeah, no, Jack Cruz is awesome. That's cool. I'm glad you brought him up because I only got into him 2 years ago when I was living in the bus, and he did an interview with Rick Rubin. Did you hear that one?
Yeah, man. Well,
It was like 7
I think I listened to
but
part of that. Yeah,
it
but
was
he was
almost
really talking about how the blue light affected Rick Rubin, and he told him that he needs to get way more natural sunlight and
yeah,
stuff.
did you hear there was Andrew Huberman on that one? 'Cause there was
Probably.
so there's 2 episodes. It's called Tetragrammaton, Rick
Yeah,
Rubin's.
tetragram. Yeah, I think I listened to
God,
part of that one. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I was like, "This stuff's going over my head, like, this guy's brilliant, like, this is I gotta keep listening to this," you know? But yeah, Jack Cruz is rad. I really like his work. Oh,
Yeah, I've noticed it. Well, I took what he was talking about to heart and like started to do more of the workouts outside. And I do notice a big effect on myself. Like if you go outside and do a workout versus like inside in under the artificial lights and stuff like that.
and the
I feel like that
controlled climate,
I
you
feel
know?
like it has a big difference. Yeah. There's a big
Yeah,
difference to it.
that adds to our sedentary, out of touch nature, like being in air conditioning all the time or heat all the time and not knowing what it's like to be outside at all, or circadian rhythm, all those things. Yeah, totally.
I was having a conversation on it. We do a live broadcast on Sundays with a couple of my buddies that have their own farms and do homesteading stuff. And our other co-host John, he's an older guy. He's like in his 60s, but he was talking about when people stopped gathering on their porches to talk to each other in neighborhoods was when there was a lot of people started getting air conditioning because people would just like be hanging out on their porch on a hot day and people would be walking by and they invite them over to have some tea or something with them. So it was like air conditioning and television. It brought everybody inside, and you can go out on like we were helping a guy install our solar system. Me and another one of my buddies, the solar power setup, and
Mhm.
we were out around his neighborhood outside installing this thing and up on his roof and stuff. And you look around the whole neighborhood, big subdivision, and it's a beautiful day outside and there is no one outside at all.
Bro, I I I try to get out there. It's beautiful here. I was born in Fargo, North Dakota. Moved when I was like 2.
I've been there. Yeah.
I moved to Chicago and grew up in Chicago and then lived the last like 14 years in New York. And I'm 42 now and I'm just like, dude, this is God's fucking country. Like it's so being in the sun. Oh my God, it is such a blessing. It is such a blessing every day. It was 103 today when I went to the gym. I was like, oh,
Woo.
I was like, all right, I'm down. Like, thank you. Like, it's fun.
Yeah, dude. I was outside working today because I'm getting a shipping container from my buddy, and we're getting ready for that to happen. The guy's supposed to come pick it up tomorrow, and I was out on my property, took the day off work, and was out there working all day in the sun, and it was really oppressively hot. But yeah, I feel pretty good now after getting all that sunlight and everything. I feel
Yeah.
pretty good. You just got to drink enough electrolytes and water so that
True.
you don't shrivel up.
Mhm.
But hey, Sam, man, this has been a really great conversation. And let's see, where can everybody find you, follow you, support you,
Yeah.
everywhere where people can check you out and get your new album? And
Yeah. The easiest way to follow me is I have my own website, samswansonmusic.com. It's my main hub. You can go there and I have a store where I sell physical antiquated media and shirts and all kinds of stuff there. Feel free to support me. I appreciate it. I have large quantities of things that if people are into that kind of stuff, I would love to send you one. I appreciate your support because I'm independent. I've been independent my whole career. Um, I also have a social media presence as well. You can find all that on the website. But I think what I'm really pushing right now is embracism coaching. I'm trying to become a master coach and leader in that capacity, and I have ideas. I'm writing them down. I think that will morph with the art at some point into a new capacity and potential outreach that is greater than what it is right now. But I have to walk before I run. So if you need help at all, if you feel like you have limiting beliefs or you have like goals that you want to meet or you're going through some hard times, and I would be happy to help you, you know, bridge that gap between, you know, where you are and where you want to be, like find those resources within you that God created. um, I also, my sister is part of that, so we have a female coach and me as the male coach. So women, men, whatever you prefer, we got both types of coaches here. um, so yeah, embracismcoaching.com. I would say check that out. That link is on my website at samswansonmusic.com as well. If you read I have like an ad for it there. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, and feel free. Like, I do think I will say this. I'm gonna quote my guy Leonard Ulrich, who created New World Order, Secret Societies, and Biblical Prophecy, the documentary series, around the same exact time that Gone started Age of Deceit. But he had his first film. At the prologue, he says something at the beginning about find out how to make copies of this presentation while we still have a free internet. And I would like to echo Leonard Ulrich's prologue, because I think we are moving into the green era. And I think once the red era is over, we will be moving into this green era. And we will be sanitized. The internet will be sanitized. It's already, I'm seeing it all the time. I'm looking for interviews that I once could find and I can't find them for like new material that I want to make. And I'm like kind of discouraged by that. But at the same time, it's confirming what I already am thinking is happening. So I would say, while we have a free internet, go to my website, go click on music. All my albums are on Bandcamp. Download them. Like, most of them are free. You can download them for free. If you want a physical copy, and that's even cooler, like, you can do that in my actual store and order one, and I'll mail it to you. And I usually throw in bonus goods and stuff like that. You know, I'll probably, if you order one CD, I'll throw in another CD or something like that. But yeah, I think now is the time to
Get something physical.
I think it's time to hang on to the physical. I'm instilling that in my children. My son is really taken to that. It's really cool to watch these kids. My son just learned how to play guitar. Like, he's like almost better than me now. It's crazy. He's not even been playing like a year, but he's like riffing. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm encouraged, by the way. Like, I mean, I don't know what everybody else's kids are like. I know that we have a lot of opposition with all the technology and the world the way it is, but I am encouraged with certainly a lot of the community that we're associated with, and I'm associated with in other circles. I think some of these kids really have their head on straight, and they do value things that a lot of the other ones haven't had a chance to experience. So yeah, while we have free internet, go to my website, get whatever you want, because I don't think it's going to be here that long. I think Ralph will break the internet eventually. So I think honestly, if I'm being honest, I think that it's just a hypothesis again, but I think with COVID, we were locked down, but we had all our technology. I think the next one, we won't have the technology. I think
I
that I think they used the technology as surveillance, and they got all. I would love to see the scientific data that's collected on us, like all the real to moment to moment reactions to every little thing. You know, like, gosh, they've got a file for every one of us, you know, on our phone or whatever devices we were using. And so I think they know now. They've been able to do the math and be bean counters, and you know, like, I think the next event is going to be for real. Like, people are not going to know what to do without their tech, and that's going to be this added layer to the. Yeah. Anyway, don't listen to me. I'm just thinking divergently here. So.
Well, I mean, if you check out Sam's album, and I really think you should go support Sam, because what he's doing in the music is getting you to see some of the things that we've been talking about, and getting you to see the big, kind of a bigger picture of things that are happening. And so, listen to this. Please go support Sam. Go to his website, get the CDs, get the physical copies. I really do think that you're right. Like all the good stuff is kind of getting scrubbed. Like the good.
That's exactly how I feel. That's the word I would use. Everything's getting scrubbed, dude. It's scrubbed. They're scrubbing it all out. It's like 1984, right? Like they were clipping all the history. They were changing, like that's what's going on. And like you guys are all renting things. Don't forget that. Like you're renting. You're Edward Bernays. You're on Netflix. Like you're like they are gonna modify these films. They're gonna change it. Like eventually, art. I think Billy Corgan recently said on a podcast that he thinks that there's going to be soon at some point, like you'll get a piece of art and it'll say not made with AI, like made by humans. Like it's going to be like a label, like to get real authentic art that didn't come from the AI influence. So
yeah.
I'm on team human, not transhuman. But if that's what you want to do, that's cool. I feel like life is so good and interesting and wonderful as a human being when you
don't go transhuman, man. Don't go transhuman. Yeah, stay human.
Yeah, I just feel like being in touch with the divine and finding your purpose and utilizing your gifts. Once you find those and you get out of that survival mode and you can express that, it's such a joy and beauty, and you become high on life. It's like life is a gift. Anyway, sorry.
Well, that's a great thing to leave it on, Sam. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on and chat with me and
of course.
Share your story with the audience. And cool. Really had fun having the conversation and doing a little bit of dives with you. So, and guys, if you like this, please share it with somebody that can get some value out of it. And please go support Sam and his music and check out samswansonmusic.com. And hang around, Sam. We'll make sure that I get everything from you, and we'll wrap it up. So thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.